So now we have this base template that we can use on any of our HTML documents. It's really simple. So something like detail, we can just put in extends base.html and then the block that we want to replace, so block content, and then we have to end it, so end block. Tab that in, and of course you can say end block content to signify what block you're actually ending, or you can just use the shortcut and do that. So that's called inheritance, right? So what it means is we're inheriting from this base.html. So when you say extends base.html, it means that whatever's in here is going to be pretty much completely overridden with base.html unless you use these blocks, right? So if I write some code out here like hello there or something, whatever I write out here, if it's not inside a block, it will not actually appear because there's no block here that actually handles those sorts of things, which is cool because then you can also, if you need to get rid of some code, you can just take it out of that block and it's there. I don't always recommend doing that, but it is kind of nice. But there's one sort of flaw with this. I wouldn't say it's a flaw, it's actually more of a feature, is that it is ignoring those things, right? So in this detail, it ignores things out here. So if I wanted style sheets or custom styles and I put it outside of that block, it's not actually going to show up. It's not going to render. And it has been true for our CSS and JavaScript as well. So in this one, we're actually going to introduce the concept of include, right? So if we go back into that contact view, we see our contact form here, just like what we see here. What I wanted back to the styles that we had. We had some of these basic Bootstrap styles, but I wanted actually back to showing those things. Now to do this, we just jump into base.html and we're going to use the include tag. Okay, so this include tag we're going to use twice. Now again, the reason that this works is because view.html is extending that base tag. It's using everything in that base tag with the exception of the blocks that we're adding in. So we go back in that base tag, we can now include an HTML file in here as well. So we can have some standard sort of stuff. And the standard stuff for us was the CSS and JS base comment tags that we had. So the first one is base./css.html. And then the second one is base.js.html. And that's it. That's how we can actually include items into our base.html from other HTML documents. Now it doesn't end here. We can also, inside a base, we can say navbar.html. Let's write it out actually. And we can just say h1, we'll just call it, for now, we'll just leave it as nav as a title. We'll do the navbar later. So in here, I can actually come down into the body and say include navbar.html. And we need a path for it, so it's base/navbar.html, and you want it in as a string. Because we put it in the base folder, which is inside of the templates folder, and there we go. So that's include. And if I go back into Chrome and look at my contact page and refresh, I see that there's nav up here, right? But I also see that contact is there. If I go to my home page, nav is there. All this other stuff is there too. Now the colors seem to be a little bit off, right? So let's actually go back into our contact view. I'm just going to undo things here for a second and take a look and see if maybe we had some CSS in here that was deleted that we didn't end up wanting. And no, I don't have any CSS in here that I deleted, right? Instead, what probably happened, let's go ahead and just refresh everything there. What probably happened is my css.html, we have our own custom CSS. Okay, so this gives us another opportunity to take a look at something else. Like if we only want this main CSS on some pages, such as the home page, we can now use another block. So this is kind of putting two things together. So we'll call this base head. This is arbitrary, but it's going to explain what's going on in just a moment. And then we're just going to put that in there. So now that we've created this new block, I'm going to go into my base.html, into the head, and right below that, I'll just put base head, right below the include statement that I just had. And there we go. So I refresh on my contact page. It looks like it's not necessarily saving, so I want to make sure my css.html is saved. And there we go. So now my contact is back as it was. And then if I go to my home page, that's also back as it was. So another way of how you can go about including different things on your base. We can include different external HTML files, external to this actual document, that is, not the project. And then you can also replace different sections of it with what you need using those blocks. We're going to do some more of this because we want to clean up more of our project as it stands currently. So stay with us.